Hello, good morning, our viewers. Beautiful Saturday morning from wherever you are watching us across the globe. This is Inside Agua TV, and as usual, today we are live, and we will be having a special guest in our studio, and he will be talking to us about export opportunities in rural communities. That's the topic of our discussion today, how people in rural communities can benefit, most especially farmers, can benefit from exports. The person we have in the studio today is an expert and the CEO of he's the Chief Executive and Secretary and CEO, Institute of Export Operations and Management Limited. In no distant time, I'm going to introduce him to you. But before I do that, I would like to specially welcome to the studio my able co-anchor of today's program, Comrade Uchenwoke John. Comrade, you are welcome to Weekend Digest. Can you say hi to our guests?
Good morning, our viewers. Thank you for joining us on this morning Inside Agua. I also thank our guest, Mr. Udofia. You are welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you our guest, our special guest for today, and he's no other person than Mr. Ofon Udofia. He is the Executive Secretary and CEO, Institute of Export Operations and Management Limited. He will be talking to us today on export opportunities for farmers in rural communities. I'd like to welcome to the studio Mr. Ofon Udofia. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Inside Agua Weekend Digest.
Thank you, Shima, for having me on this program. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, thank you, sir, for joining us. Like I said in my introduction, our topic today is export opportunities for those of us that are farmers in rural communities. And as an expert in the field of export, you have been in this business for years. You have traveled around the country talking to people about exports. And then through your efforts, a lot of items produced here in Nigeria are being exported overseas. And today is our pleasure from this part of the world to listen to you about export opportunities and how our people can benefit from export. So we would like you to talk to us about the topic of discussion today. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. If there's any time in this country that farming and export should be encouraged, it is no other time but now. The unemployment level in the country is getting to a situation of a security risk. And if there's any way we can get out of this quagmire, it is through the agri-export entrepreneurship programs. So I'm happy that you started with your Agua. I've been to Agua, close to Obowo in those days, coming through here to Oboma, trying to explore the possibility of getting cashew nut from a place called Okudo. So I am not too far from that environment. And I know predominantly before now, you were doing yam, cassava, and the rest. But I'm not too sure that you are still doing that. But on a quick note, the export value chain has something for everybody. Like you said, I work for the Institute of Export Operations and Management. We're a trade and investment support institution, supporting farmers, women, young people to farm and also add value to the products. I want to emphasize on the issue of value addition, because over the years, when you are exporting commodities, you are exporting jobs. If you are doing 250, if you are doing 5 metric tons of cashew nuts, you'll be creating 250 jobs. So you can see that it is pertinent and it is in time that we should start talking about opportunity for rural farmers. I want to talk about the 5 value chains in the export agri system. One, the first value chain is the farmers themselves, which we are going to talk about today. when you farm, what do you do with the farming? Apart from persistent farming, just sustaining yourself, we need to get out of that level now, just to feed ourselves, just to stay alive. No, we need to make money from farming. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday who was just coming from Atlanta, Georgia. It's the greatest farming hub in US, and they have a lot of things they want to buy from Nigeria. So if you are farming cassava, how do I add value to it? And I think, as a matter of fact, we should start having that name, Agwagari, just like we now have Ijebu Gari. Somebody instituted that we have Ijebu Gari today. So in that same vein, we should think of it and say, okay, how do we also, apart from making money, make our environment, make our community to be heard, not only for violence, but also for good things. So as a farmer, if you want to succeed in that vein, you can do your Gari, you can package your Gari, you can label your Gari, and you can sell your Gari to other people. Yes, you may not be able to do all at the same time, but thank God that this is a community program. Within the community, the farmer can do his farming. We can add some other youths who will then do processing and add value. That's the second value chain thinking in that, because I always advise young people to have this faculty of what do you call value chain thinking. What do I mean by value chain? In the export ecosystem, we have the farmers, we have the processors, we have the brokers, we have the merchants, then the exporters. So let me take this one by one. As a farmer, you farm, you don't bother yourself about processing. The processor, the young man can come and take your Gari and fry the Gari and use the Gari for what he wants to do, and then label it, put a barcode on it, get a NAFDAC number. You see, as a farmer, you have already sold your item out. You are still in the export value chain. But the processor now takes these products, add value to them, and then the merchants will come, who has a lot of money. His own is that he doesn't want to farm, he does not want to process, but he wants to aggregate. He buys off from you. Then when he buys off, what happened? The issue of the Yahoo syndrome in Nigeria can be changed using the export, because now the broker will now come in. What is the work of a broker? He's a finder. He finds who gets Gari and finds who wants to buy Gari and earn a fee for it. Internationally, we earn 3% fee from that for being a finder. So you see, within the value chain now, we've talked about the farmer, we've talked about the processor, we've moved into talk about the broker, then the merchants carry this product. Then from the merchant, we the exporters will now buy from the merchants and now do the export. So you can see that within this ecosystem now, everybody have a part to play. Then let me come down to your community, if I may ask. Beside the Yorubas and the Edos, I think the Igbo has the largest number of people in diaspora. We have, beside Gari, we have Nchao, we have Ozuza, we have a lot of other things that is grown in Igbo land. Let me even shock you. Ogiribo is being exported to Maryland. I have a customer in Maryland who gets Ogiribo and sells over there, up to cola, bitter cola, and the rest. So you see, the rural farmers need to be enlightened. They need to understand. They need to know where to go, because that's the major issue. You do not do what you don't understand. That is why in the institute that we pride ourselves as the famous trade and investment support institution in Nigeria. I stand to be corrected. If you Google us, you see that we are among the first 10 best export institutions in this country. So let's get back home. In Agua, what do you have? I know, yes, some of these things I mentioned, you may have them. You may have Okazi and the rest. This can be, value can be added to this. You do not even need to only have them in Agua. You can get something from the neighboring communities. You can do aggregation in order for you to make money from this. Then the first step is that, okay, how do I get market? Good, this is a community program. I believe other people from other countries, from Europe and other your people that are staying in diaspora are also listening. Instead of begging for money, you can render services. You can render products to your people in diaspora. You can tell them, Uncle, I have bitter cola. I want to send bitter cola to you. That is part of what the institute can help you do. We can also help you to deliver this bitter cola directly to your uncle for a fee. Instead of him dashing you money, instead of him giving you money, many times he sees your phone call, he'll be thinking you want to pay him for money. Rather, he now know that when he sees your phone call, that is, you are trying to bring value. Your children can eat Nigerian plantain chips, because most of the things that is sold overseas are GMO. It's chemically motivated, but like in Nigeria, we get from the source, we get from the farm. Some of them are even farming without fertilizer. So you see that the opportunity is huge for people in the rural area. but they need to be trained on packaging, on processing, on food analysis, because nobody wants to eat and die. And for instance, we have a lot of people in US. There's what we call African Growth and Opportunity Act, allowing Nigerian products, African products, to go into US duty-free, about 6,300 products. Are we taking advantage of this? The answer is that a lot of people do not understand. Chima, let me tell you, there's something we're even trying to do in Imo State. On the 14th of August, by the grace of God, our e-learning platform will be sent to school, what we call School Export Development Program. So we are starting with IMSU and the rates of the schools there, so that students can understand when you get back to the rural area, why your mother is farming, why your cousin is farming, when they're doing all these things now, what is your own stake? How do you come in? The level of education you are now to bring to come in, packaging, labeling, branding, traceability, using barcode. What do I mean by traceability? Yes, Chima is from Agua. How do I trace him? Do I know his family compound? Through packaging and traceability, a product can be traced straight to the farm. If you remember some times ago when there was this mad cow syndrome in Europe, Botswana was able to bring out the cow with which they do their sausages, their cheese and everything. So that was what saved Botswana economy. So all these things could be, if impacted into our youth, they will make them busy. At the rural area, they will work with the farmers, because the farmer may not be knowledgeable enough, he may not be educated enough to do export, but within the value chain, he has his own or her own tech by farming, and farming according to export, farming according to what is needed. What kind of fertilizer is needed? How do I farm it? How do I process it? Where do I keep it? If I'm doing gari, how do I reduce the level of cyanide acid in that gari? Do I just brew the cassava today, peel today, tie today, and fry today? The answer is no, to be too acidic. So we will be able to guide them. Then these young people that are that are coming out from the school, who are looking for jobs, will rather feed themselves into this and work with these farmers.
Wow, wow. This is very, very interesting. And from what you have said, there are a lot of the value chain in the process of this export. So the area I will want you to throw more light on for farmers who are in the rural communities, like you cited in Agua, for farmers who are there and they want to benefit from export. I want to know the process that they need to take. What is the first step for somebody who wants to do export? What is the first step the person will take in order to get started? That's my first question.
For farmers in the rural area, the first thing you need to understand is that if you want to do export, you will identify your product, because already you are doing a product, you're having a product, maybe you're frying gari. So now you want to double into export. The first thing you need to do is that you must have a registered business, a registered company, limited, or a cooperative, which I always advise people in the rural area to do cooperative, because it helps them in aggregation. So the moment you've done that, the next step is you go to Nigerian Export Promotion Council, register with them and have an export license. Then when that is done, because you have your gari already, you can approach the institute, or you can also start this other way by approaching an institute or an organization that can help you navigate the export ecosystem. Then before going to register, when your product is done ready. And some people have this conception, I don't have NAFDAC. There's a law that you do not need to have NAFDAC from day one. You can be selling your product for the first 6 months before going for NAFDAC. This is part of what the institute does. There's no law that, because if you go to there and do NAFDAC and the product does not have seen the light of the day, what happened? So there's a law, the NAFDAC law allows you to market and sell your product, test your product for 6 months, and then that would have given you the insight whether this product is going to survive, going to stand, going to have a volume of good market share. So we also, an exporter to be need to do that, and then look at competition around you. Look at your value. What is your unique selling proposition? Why is Agua Gari better than Ijebu Gari? Why is it better than Ugoni Gari? Why is it better than Abua Gari? Why is it better than Eche Gari? Why is it better than Benue Gari or Bendel Gari and the rest? So you now have a unique selling proposition. Why must I buy Agua Gari, for instance? Or if I'm buying Ozuza mixed with the Jango or mixed with Otazi, which is a good spice for the Igbos to do their pepper soup, to do their Nsala soup. what is it that I have that others don't have that will make them to buy from me? So the moment you've been able to put this in place and register and do your first production, which the institute can also help you, we do marketing. We can take your product, send it to some places to hear what is known about the product and what they like about it. We can help you also get market to sell. So at that point, you are ready to move into the export ecosystem.
All right, thank you so much for that. For our viewers, we have been talking with Mr. Ofon Udofia, who is an export expert, and he has been talking to us about how we can do export in rural communities. And that brings me to my second question before I call on my co-anchor if he has a question for you. My question is, if somebody wants to do export, let's say the person is in Imo State, and from what you have said, it's easier when one passes through the Export Institute. So if somebody wants to engage in export, one, I want to know what are the products that you feel are selling more overseas. Then the second one, how does the person get registered with the institute? I don't know if you have an office in Owerri and all of that. And the program you said that is coming up in Imo State. So all of this, I want you to put them together so that viewers who are watching now and those who will watch it later and who are interested in export will be able to know where to go and who to call.
Okay, Chima, I think for taking these giant steps, what people are doing is what government should do. And you've gone into this with your own bigger resources. So I am volunteer. I'm making you a promise that Institute, in partnership with your community, will do a pro bono program, one free day program for your organization. Plan it and give me a date that is suited by us. We are coming there live to do. We have been doing that in other communities. So it's a corporate social responsibility program. When you're asking about products I can sell, well, I will tell you product that is not sellable because every product can sell. But in the export ecosystem, we have some products that are prohibited, like.
Wow. We have been talking with Mr. Ofon Udofia. I feel he's having a bit of network problem and we hope to have him back. He has been talking to us about export opportunities and how people in rural communities can benefit from export. Comrade John Bono, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please respond. You have been listening to our guest in the studio talk about export, and he has also just told us that their institute is willing to come and talk to our farmers and then to see how they can leverage on some of the opportunities that he has outlined and to be able to export their products. He was just talking about products that are sellable and those that are not sellable before we had a network disconnection. From what you have heard from him, what can you say about the issues that he has raised concerning export opportunities? Comrade John, are you there?
Okay, let me respond to your question. I've carefully listened to his view on rural farmers and getting their products exported even as far as outside the country. And it's been a wonderful one. He's talking as an expert. And let me say that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Let me say that agriculture is one of the big economy of the world. And here in Africa, I will also say that agriculture has been underutilized. In Agua, let me narrow it down to Agua. It has also been underutilized in the sense that you heard him said Agua Gare. That has been, in my view, one of the way we can also tell the world that we are an agrarian society or we are agrarian clan. But there are a lot of obstacles hanging here and there. One of the obstacles is the issue of funding. The issue of funding. I mean, making funds available to the farmers who are the major stakeholder in that value chain, as he explained. So this is number one. Then number two is currently you know that virtually all over the world, security is a threat to humanity, but currently in our own place, it's been more spelled out, and it's also a major challenge to the farmers who go to the farm, till the land, and bring out their farm products. This is number two. Then number three is that.
Okay, sorry to cut you. Sorry to cut you. I will come back to you. I think I have Mr. Ofon Udofia come back. So we'll allow him to finish the question he was answering, and then thereafter I will allow you to conclude, and then also your question for him. So Mr. Udofia, you're welcome on board. So go continue with your last.
There was internet.
Okay.
Cannot. They are all products can export, but they have.
Okay.
I can hear you perfectly. I said you can export products except the ones that are prohibited. The ones that are prohibited is hide and skin, the endangered species, elephant's horn, and the rest. So outside that, everything is exportable, and there's a market for it depending on who you are servicing. But when it comes to Nigerian rural export, I want us to look at the diaspora export, exporting to our people, giving them what they want. Just a couple of weeks ago, somebody called me from Saudi Arabia. There are Nigerians who were in Canada. They have been relocated to Saudi Arabia, but the kind of plantain chips they are eating from the Caribbean does not have taste at all. So they need Nigerian plantain chips. So if you rely on that, and we have over 20 million Nigerians living in diaspora, and as they buy, even locally, when you buy, you tell, oh, where do you get this? This is fine. So we can do that, because even though the whites are also all these other people now that we are in the diaspora market can get our product. So everything starting from chow, also dried, even up to dry water leaf. I can assure you that we have the facility in Port Harcourt at an institute, even up to dry pap. So we help people from the rural area. When it comes to processing, bring them, let's help you do it. And all those things can be exported. And as I promised you too, that when we are coming into Imo State for the export development program with schools, a Catch the Young initiative for young people, I will also intimidate you so that this your television session can come in. Then I also promise that if we schedule a time, a weekend where I can go to in their presence before leaving the place, so they can understand what we are talking about.
Wow, that's wonderful. Comrade John Bono, can you hear me? Are you there? Comrade John Bono. Okay, I think he's also having a network issue when he's back, because he has a question for you. We would like to thank you so much for coming to our studio and giving us insight about export opportunities for people in rural communities. Now, the last question from my end to you, as an institute, like a community who want to do it as a community project, for instance, my place where I come from, Agua, and we are predominant farmers. We produce much of gari. We used to have yam in larger quantity, but in recent time, because of oil exploration and all of that, we can boast of gari and other agricultural products. So if like a community project, how does your organization partner with communities who are willing to handle it as a project, so that, okay, this is what we produce. We produce gari, and we want your institute to partner with us and see how our gari can be marketed overseas. How does that work? I know you have talked about it when you were talking earlier on, but on a clearer understanding, as a community project now, how does that work?
Yeah, the committee need to send us what we call expression of interest, that this is what we want to do. And then we tell the committee what they need to put in place. It may not be a very big project, it's willingness. And if that is done, the institute will come to your place, do a neat analysis, look at what you have, even the gari we are talking about, what quantity can you produce? We need to have those statistics, because in export, you do not overpromise and underdeliver. We must know what you have, what you are willing to give out, so that we can do a projection. Is a good thing that I think we can work on it together And the beautiful thing about it is that I think apart from selling it internationally, you need to test your product locally. If your garri is not accepted in Nigeria, it's not accepted in agua market, it cannot be accepted in ShopRite. So we need to do that market testing, give you confidence, and make sure that your garri has a stamp of authority from the institute that it can enter into any market in the world. So that could be arranged. It's not a big deal.
I also know that packaging is a very good, another essential part of export. Can you talk to us about packaging? Why we
by the grace of God, I'm a packaging expert trained by United Nations, International Trade Center, and Food Agriculture Organization. In 2018, I was in Tanzania for some months to learn about packaging, what are issues involved in packaging, issues of packaging and traceability. So, and there are food grade packaging material that need to be used. Before now, you remember when we were very small, they used to normally use what do you call it? They normally use cement paper to tie groundnut for us. That was Tanzania's. So now there are what we call food grade packaging material that we use in doing our packaging. So people will also be trained. We will not only do it for them in the rural area, we train them on their food grade packaging material. What you need to use to package that we made internationally, and we source them locally. And one beautiful thing is that we have a packaging center. So you can bring your garri back and we package for you. For instance, let me remind you this. Cow bears does not produce milk, they package milk. So they bring milk back and package it. So why can't you do that in Nigeria? We can get garri from any source and package it and make sure that it is traceable, make sure that it is standard, make sure that it is not toxic, make sure that it is not cancerous.
Wow. This is interesting. I would like to appreciate you, Mr. Ofon Udofia, for coming to our studio today and for enlightening us on export opportunities. I know that our people are hearing, people are watching you all over the globe. And before I let you go, where is your office in Port Harcourt and how do people get in contact with your organization?
Okay, in Port Harcourt, we are at number 1 Donny Street, GRFS 3, close to Genesis Cinema. Then in the west, we have an office in a village called Isenyi. So that's where we're actually doing a lot of processing, cassava flour, lafo, and the rest. Then in Lagos, we are at number 8, plot 869, Aboyede Close, Victoria Island, opposite Eco Hotels. So those are offices for now. We are still working on our Abuja office, and we're also willing to partner because we want to have more office in the rural areas. Like Magwa, if you are ready, we can do something there so that it will be a center that people can buy and then put them on our platform, put them on our website to give them a global view.
Thank you so much. Comrade John Bono, I was almost letting him go, but now that you are in, I don't know if you have any question for him before we let him go. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Udofia. It's good to have you on this show. And I've listened to your response to the issue of harnessing our agricultural resources, our potential at the rural area. And I would like to ask you some questions in regards to what you outline as a value chain in the agricultural sector. Taking Agua, for instance, Agua is a rural community, and at least we are gifted with agricultural resources. What I mean by agriculture is that we have the land, and that is one of it. Some of challenges, I think I want to ask you a question to know your view on that. Is one, the first, let me say, the principal shareholder in the agriculture chain is those that farm, those that goes to the farm until the land processes. But it seems that these people doesn't have enough funds to execute this plan. How do you think, or in which aspect do you think that these people can be able to get enough funds to execute their farming activities? This is number one. Then number two is it possible for one to have his or her own center established and dealing directly to the partners? outside having to go into a middle person like your institute? Is it possible that way?
Yes, let me start with the last question before the finance question. What we do in the institute, we midwife you, we graduate you. As I'm talking to you now, we send over 200 women whose products are there. If I can mention, they can go to the online, you see all that they have. So when we are done with you. But the only thing is that if you are trained by you, become our alumni. If you also want to be a member of the institute, there's a process of becoming a corporate member so that you'll be benefiting from all other information. So we do not train you and make you a partner in the institute. Rather, you establish your business, do your export, and when you have challenges, you come back to us. So that is allowed. That's agreeable. You can have a limited liability company, maybe in Agua, and you are doing gari or you are doing fufu. There's one we are doing now. We call them cassava fufu. You store it like gari. It's fermented. It's a process. We can incorporate them into it. It makes things easier and it's lighter in terms of heaviness. People like it a lot. We had them in our office in Port Harcourt. Then on the issue of finance, the greatest challenge that the rural people have on financing is that proper record keeping. Because 3 years ago, I was opportune to anchor a grant for about 150 companies, rural farmers, out of which 105 received money. Some received between 2 million to 50 million naira as grant from an agency. And it's still there. IFAD is still the International Organization on Agriculture. Then FAO is still there. That's most more grants that be given to rural area, but packaging is a major issue. So that is part. If you're going to any rural area, we take them on record keeping. How do you keep your record? Possibly put up a cooperative for them. The world believes and have more trust. The issue of integrity, the issue of trust is more when you have a cooperative than an individual. Why do I say that? You may have a cooperative of 20 people today, and one of the women there, his brother becomes the governor. He will go back, he will not want to be coming there. Like the Igbo said, and he will just run to that place. The other people will remain. If she was the only person who owns that company, at the moment his brother becomes a governor, that's the end of that business. Let me bring your mind back to the era of Obonayaono. When Obonayaono became a governor, iron T-tailor in Aba started doing iron T-tailor construction. The tailoring aspect went down. So can you understand that? But in a cooperative, it is not possible because everybody that is in a cooperative cannot back up at the same time. So cooperative is the model I will introduce to any rural community. Do cooperative, put your people in order, finance will not be an issue.
Okay, that is a wonderful one. And another one is I wanted to know your commitment to the question or the point you raised, that you are ready to partner with us. If you can put up a program that will enhance the knowledge, the modern technology of rural farmers to employ in their farming activities. So I don't know how you're going to do it, but I think we'll be glad if that will happen in Agua, and we're glad to host you. So I want you to respond so that our people will also hear emphatically that you oblige us such.
Yes, there's no problem about that. We something we do. Last year we were in a farm in a village called Ayama. We will do a very first visit, talk to your people, then have their buy-in, because you and Chima may not be in the village every day. If the people we are selling to, like in my place, in Eshironya Ramborogo, I hope you understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
When you're preparing medicine for a madman, ask him whether you drink. So we need to get to the village, have a buy-in of the people that we are going to do this for. The moment that is done, then we have an expression of interest from your traditional rulers that they will give us a soft landing. Then we can start. We can bring in our partners like the Nigerian Storage Product Research Institute. They have some equipment for drying and for so many other things. So that will be a good partnership with them. And the people there will see that you can have a place that you can dry your pap, you can dry your plantain chips, you can dry your plantain flour. A center will be created when this is done, and it will be a collaborative issue between the institute and your organization. And then again, you can also be using that center to drive for other people. You know, in those days when Gary blending machine was not so common, people bring their Gary and blend in your place, and you pay them a fee. So when this is owned by the cooperative, and this thing is done, that place will start generating money locally and then for export intentions. So I think it's a good one. We are open for that collaboration.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Thank you so much.
for reassuring us, and I want to tell you that whatever logistics you think will be necessary to have this partnership, will grant it that, and that will be a way forward, making sure that the rural community, particularly Agua, are well harnessed in their farming activity, because organization matters also. Most of these things you raise here, these are things that can be able to absorb some of the youths who are restive, because when they are doing something meaningful and they are earning from it, I don't think a busy hand will have a business going violent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So far, so good. We thank you for obliging us today and for talking to us about export opportunities. And we do hope that we'll bring you up some other time. Just before we wrap up this program, I'd like to introduce Comrade Ugwebu Wisdom, who is also part of a co-anchor at Inside Agua News. Comrade Wisdom, can you say hi to our guests before we let him go? And if you have any question, you can quickly do that, and then we'll wrap up the program. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Sorry, viewers. I am joining late. Of course, it has always been a duty call. Currently, as you can see, if you know Agua very well, you know my current location. I am currently at Mbala Health Center on a state government activity and duty call. So we are harnessing health in that area. Sir, I've listened keenly in as much as I joined very late, but I notice some of the things that you have stated here. My question is very simple and clear. From what you have just said, if we eventually have a soft landing on all these things, is there a how do I put it? Is there a funding from your own end, or we are to bring funding? And what is your own benefit as per somebody who is bringing this in from your institution to Agua? Let's assume that what you have just said, those machines are being brought down to Agua. What is the returns of what you are doing for you for your own institution? I don't know if you understand the questions.
Perfectly, I do. We
Okay.
do not, we are not funders, we don't fund. Rather, if we have something we are doing with you people and you have a cooperative registered, we will work together to look for funding. We have funding partners
Okay.
all over the world. They want to
Okay.
see what we are doing. The challenge with Nigerians is that they always say, we want to do. When you start
Okay.
and they see, they will support you. As a matter of fact, I've been dodging coming to Imo State during the era of that few months. I have a lot of people in Imo State that I was working with in the same ecosystem. Most of them are outside the country, which I know they'll be happy if I do anything in Imo State to join. So we need to start something, maybe have a legal entity to work with, like a cooperative. We have a structure, then we can apply for funding. We can even ask for donor agencies to say, okay, this is what we intend to do. This is what we've done so far. How do you come in to assist us? Yesterday, I have some challenge, some meeting with UNIDO, and they sent me a form which I will send to Chima. But if you look
Okay.
at that form, they want you, what do you want to do? Where are you? There are a lot of questions. If you answer them, even if you don't meet it at that point, it is kept for you. That subsequently there's such organization that exists. That's why the Yorubas, the Hausas are doing better than us. You know, an Igbo man is a self-made man. By the time he says,
Yes.
so that mentality is what is disturbing us. Whether, if, for instance, I used to do an analogy. If some people prepare that there's heaven, some say they won't prepare. If you get to the gate of heaven and there's heaven, who lose? The man that prepare will enter. The man did not prepare, whether there's heaven or not, he loses. So it is preparedness. And I like, I used to tell Chima the meaning of IMO, but we are not making use of it. IMO means investment meets opportunity. So you don't champion the opportunity and wait for the investment to come.
Okay,
All right.
I've heard you also. I've heard you also. You've done very well, sir. But then I want you to also, for the last one, assure our viewers that if by virtue of what you have just said, I will pick interest, you are going to oblige us because some persons will come to the platform and say this, but when the opportunity comes and when we start knocking at the door, they keep forming or keeping us at arm's length in terms of they are busy. So I'll show our viewers again that once this opportunity comes, once we kick into it, that you are going to be there for us morning, afternoon, night, because this is what we want, and then definitely we will come in fully. Believe me, you.
Let me tell you something. I have given you a promise in export. We say you don't overpromise and underdeliver. We are doing a program with GT Bank. So I want to assure you, Chima will follow me up. The program is for Oka, no, it's for Onisha, Aba, and Enugu. So we'll be picking people to join us on the export journey. So I'm promising you that I'll give you 3 slots. It's free for that program. You nominate people from your place who will join that program in Aba. Aba is closer. But people from where are joining Aba, Enugu.
All right. Thank you so much. Network has not been friendly. Thank you, Wisdom, for asking those interesting questions there. And also a very big thanks to Comrade John Bono. I don't know if we have viewers who would like to call in and maybe they have a question to ask. They can do so now within the space of 1-2 minutes. And then we'll see if he can test those questions if he eventually comes back. Otherwise, we'd like to wrap up the program for today and also inviting our guests for the next session that begins at 10 o'clock when we shall be having the Inside Agua Speak Out. It's a very interesting section and you wouldn't want to miss that. Speak Out is a program that we are launching now where we are going to talk about issues that concerns us as a people, and we'll have people come to the studio and talk to us. So while we cannot establish further connection with our guest today, we would like to appreciate him so much. I wish he was here, but from the Inside Agua team, we would like to appreciate him so much for availing us this opportunity to talk to us about export and to give us those promises of partnering with Agua to make sure that our people can export their produce. Comrade John, on the closing note, I would like you to also give us your words of appreciation or conclusion in this program. Okay, Comrade John, can you hear me? Your final note as we wrap up the program. All right, I'll call on Comrade Wisdom. Ugwebu, thank you so much for giving us live reports happening there in Agua. Yesterday, Inside Agua took the news out about the health facility, and we are happy that we are there live to see that the program is ongoing. So before we go, how is the health program ongoing over there?
Okay, a quick one. This is just a state government initiative of eliminating hepatitis B and C. And of course, I want to tell you for free that this program, Agba has been left behind. But to the glory of God, I want to thank Obina Jumbo, who saw the need that for us not to start going to Awa. He ventured and made 1 or 2 calls, and then it was brought back to Agua. Yesterday, we were at OBD's primary health care to administer or run the test for the hepatitis B and C. And then we had a very good turn up, at least about 100 persons were here. And then today, we are currently at Mbala. We are kicking off by 10. And then once we start, we'll keep a live report on that. However, we want to encourage our people to please take advantage of every free medical assistance that is coming from either the state government or from the local government or even from the federal government, because these are projects of things people other places benefit. Let's also eliminate that mindset of the federal government or the state government or the government want to kill us, because this is the report that we've been getting that made people not to turn up much that they are coming to kill us. Nobody is coming to kill you. We are indigenous. I cannot kill my brother. If I am the one facilitating or maybe the one running the thing, will I partner with state government to come and kill? It doesn't work that way. So please let us eschew that mindset and come out to enjoy what other local governments or other communities are enjoying, because they will not be happy, because they will not be happy it is coming to Agba, because you don't know how far other persons are also struggling to get it to their place. But here we have it. So please let us make use of this opportunity. That is just it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Wisdom, for that. And for our viewers, this is where we are going to draw the curtain for today's program. And then, like I told you, by 10 o'clock or thereabout, we shall be having another section, and that is Inside Agua Speak Out. And today we'll be talking about the Fulani attack in Agua and then what has been done so far. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you in our next program.